Happy Monday, everybody. How are y'all doing? Of course, I got my guy Bryant, Culp. Ty Austin's on the inactive list tonight. That happens, you know.
There was 4 of us. There is 3 of us. There is 2 of us sometimes. But you know what? It's always coast to coast, and whatever combination we can get, whoever appears is what you get, right? It's kind of like that Batman movie. We might not be what you deserve, but we are what you get. We might not be, what you want, but we are what shows up, right? So, hey, David, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's the off season, so as you know, speculation. The speculation train runs rampant. You know, there's no brakes on it. It just run away. It's going as fast as it can.
So you're saying,
what's cracking, buddy? What's cracking?
Are you saying this is the time that we get to dream and make believe?
Well, I'm saying this is the time that all those reports come out that we're getting every QB on the planet, and all these people think Purdy ain't it, but it's like the Niners front office thinks he is.
All right, so let's pause before we go any further. Are you signing Purdy right now? You're the 49ers. Doesn't matter if you're GM, Kyle Shanahan, the ownership, but you're David McNiner. Are you signing Brock Purdy to a long-term contract?
I am. And the main reason why, he just completed his 3rd year, right? And a lot of these QBs, they don't just come in the league and go, oh, I can pick my team up on my back and carry him. Like all you folks that think, oh, look at Josh Allen. Okay, it took him 6 seasons to get there. You know, Patrick Mahomes, it took him. I mean, he had Tyreek Hill, Kelsey. He had a bunch of weapons when he was young. Look at him now, though, without all these weapons. You know, he's not looking that good, right? But you know, that the whole pick your team up on your back and carry them, it doesn't just come that easy, like that quick, folks. He's just finishing his 3rd year. He's going to get better. He could become that guy, but we have to sign him to a long-term contract just to find that out too.
Okay, so here's my clapback, my pushback. Is Kyle Shanahan the reason why we are having success? And this is my defense. This is my argument. Jimmy G comes out of nowhere, wins 5 games. The next season, wins like 1-2 games. We were 1-1. He gets smacked, hurts his knee against the Chiefs. Right? Year 3. Takes us to the Super Bowl. Purdy got hurt on his way to the Super Bowl on a season where there was 2 other quarterbacks who got hurt, right? Mm-hmm. So again, it could be Shanahan's play calling, but Shanahan got 1 quarterback to the Super Bowl, and then with a little bit of luck, I don't know, he could have got any one of those quarterbacks to the Super Bowl if they would have stayed healthy. But Purdy gets hurt in the NFC Championship game, tears up his elbow. Now we have a new quarterback that comes in, not a new quarterback, but now we have a new situation. Brock Purdy gets hurt again. And I know me and you went back and forth and talked about it a little bit, but they said the guy didn't want to throw the ball in front of the media because he couldn't throw the ball. And then they benched him for mysterious reasons, right? Unexplainable reasons, unexplainable forest fires, right? They're Smokey the Bear, only you can protect forest fires, right? Well, they didn't want that forest fire being exposed because what was happening with Brock Purdy was real. He either had like a lingering stinger or he had something else going on in his elbow. So we didn't play him. And we lost the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he comes back.
Or not Josh Allen, Brandon Allen.
But then he comes back and he plays, right? Because he doesn't want to make it seem, or the 49ers don't want it to be perceived that, there's an injury with him. So for me, I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on Purdy. Love the guy. Love you, dude. I'd love to meet you, shake your hand, tell you thank you for everything you've done for the Niners. Maybe get an autograph, a picture. That'd be great. But for me, signing you to a long-term contract, you deserve more than what you're getting right now, for sure, for sure. But is he going to be the reason we win our next Lombardi? And at this point in time, I have to say, I don't confidently feel that. David, I got smoked. I got totally smoked. You know it. I bought 4 Jimmy G Garoppolo jerseys. I bought one for my mother-in-law, one for my daughter, my wife, one for me, right? There was 4 bought, right? I thought he was the next coming of Jesus, right? So now you got Purdy out there, and Purdy looks really good. Pretty good, right? But his elbow continuing to be an issue, and we already know he's not the guy that can fling it 70 yards. Stafford, even golf, Sunshine down there in Florida. There's so many, Josh Johnson in Buffalo. There's so many quarterbacks that can throw it 70 yards, and Purdy's lucky if he can throw it 50. I don't think it's necessarily him. I think it's Kyle Shanahan who's gotten us to those victories. He's allowed Purdy to improvise. Purdy's made plays, and that's kept us alive. But it's Kyle Shanahan who's gotten now 2 quarterbacks to a Super Bowl, 3 if you count Matt. What's his name in Atlanta, right?
Matt Ryan, but he was just the offensive coordinator. I don't count that game, but
I mean, I kind of feel like it has to at least count half, right? Because he's what made Matt Ryan. Before that, they were a mess. Kyle Shanahan comes in and they totally straighten up the Falcons and make them legitimate contenders. So for me, I think it's Shanahan. So
I'm going to agree with you.
This is going to
continue on.
So this is going to be my sad statement, and maybe it's a Grant Cohn statement, but it's not his opinion. It's my opinion as being a 49er and having a YouTube channel as well as you. You're a great friend and also a great co-host, and I'm lucky to be here tonight. I believe there's several veteran quarterbacks that are out there that we definitely should look after. Even if we don't bring them in to be the number 1 quarterback, we should have a better backup quarterback than Josh Allen.
Josh Johnson.
Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen.
Same thing.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Brandon Allen or what's our other, Joshua Dobbs. He's the passer, not, but he doesn't want to be here. He really doesn't. He knows he doesn't have a chance here with us, being all in on Purdy. So for me, I don't know. There's been speculations on like somebody like even, Sunshine down there in Florida. Would we be willing to trade for him? They have a new coaching staff. There's been speculation on, somebody who I've, pounded my chest for a long time for, Aaron Rodgers. And that is a question I'm going to ask you here really quickly. But I feel like, right now, if we're going to really go all in and pay Brock Purdy $60 million, is it really, and this is my last question to you on the Brock Purdy topic, but is it because that's the going rate for a quarterback right now? Or do we really want to invest that much money into Brock Purdy because he's that athletic?
So Terradome's making a point here, and he did lead the league last year in 30-plus yard air completions. But again, I'm saying it's Shanahan, but also our QBs are getting hurt because of Shanahan. He doesn't value offensive line, right? So our QB gets hit. He gets hurt. He gets dinged up because he's getting hit because Kyle Shanahan doesn't value offensive line. And, if the answer's in the play needs to be able to develop, right? And the only way the play is going to develop is if you have an offensive line to protect your QB. So it all comes back to someone needs to change their philosophy on offensive line.
Well, so that's the whole thing. Like with Jimmy Garoppolo, he didn't have the biggest arm, right? But we ran the ball a whole heck of a lot of time. If you go back, there was some games that we ran the ball the almost the entire quarter, right?
Hey, that playoff game where he only threw 8 times. Let's remember that.
I mean, who's mad? Who's really mad? We won the game, right? So
Yeah.
with at the end of the game, we won, right? So is Kyle just winning because of the type of personnel that he has on the field, or is Kyle? And honestly, you got to give him cheers for that because he's using what he's got and he's making it really work, right? So now, are we just lacking the quarterback that can just like really detail, like really pick apart a defense out there? Like I don't think we have the quarterback that's really a passing quarterback. And I'm not saying Purdy can't be that, but I don't feel like that's exactly what we have. And with us trying to transition several times to we don't have the offensive line, like you said. We have a running offensive line. How hard is it for a running offensive line to adjust to a passing offensive line? I don't know. I'm not that kind of coach or, that kind of guy. But David, I feel like we're pushing things a little bit too fast because we're trying to make it happen and we just don't have one or two pieces in play. And if we do have that quarterback that's a pocket passer, then yeah, we need to go all in on having a pocket line, right? A passing offense. We don't have that. And with Brock being a little bit mobile, I think that's given us a little bit of time to transition. So let's we're going to keep it short, guys, tonight. David and me both have a little bit of, it's lucky for me to be here tonight. I work 12-hour days or plus, and that's why I haven't been around, but keep your notifications locked on. Me and David both have new outros coming soon. Can't tell you when because that would kill the speculation, right? But when it happens, it happens. So you have to be on notifications. You have to be there. Make sure you like the video as well. If you like, tell a friend. But David, this is my question for you tonight. This is my really big question. Why don't we go after Aaron Rodgers?
Okay, so the Aaron Rodgers' best years aren't in front of him, right? And if you're looking to build a dynasty,
but why, David?
Because he's old. Isn't he?
Why
40?
isn't his best years in front of him?
Because he's 40.
How many
Tom Brady?
Super Bowls
Yes,
did
Tom Brady played till he was 47. Huh?
And he won a bunch of Super Bowls after he was 40, right?
That's true. But we saw last year, Aaron Rodgers couldn't carry the Jets to victory. We've seen him carry the Packers to victory, a few years ago. We've seen that.
Well, let's go back.
He couldn't do it with the Jets.
Let's go back. Rodgers got hurt, one or two plays into his first season with the Jets, and they say that injury could take up to 2 years. So he comes back his second year because he had some kind of scientific, hallucinogenic, whatever, type of, experience, surgery, right? And he comes back faster than, because he's like the bionic man, right? And he comes back, and yeah, the Jets didn't have the season they should have had. But he had all the weapons around him that should have made him look good. So I agree. So if you take him from New York and you put him on the 49ers who still have weapons, and now this guy's had another year to kind of like have an off-season recovery, should we say, oh yeah, it's another Tom Brady situation? We should have, we could have, but no, he's old. And then he goes and wins another Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Now, if Aaron Rodgers goes to like somewhere like Pittsburgh and wins the Super Bowl, am I a crazy man? I mean, like, or is it just like, oh wow, it was just that right time, right situation because maybe the personnel matched up with them? Because I get it, you gotta mesh with the locker room, and if he can't get along with Kyle Shanahan, he can't get along with certain people. But hey. Not to say how
that's kind of my next argument. Is the Levi Stadium is not big enough for Shanahan and Aaron Rodgers' egos, buddy. I don't think the state of California is big enough.
Well, see, there's the problem too. If we don't take him, are you afraid if he goes to the Rams? Are you okay with him going to the Rams?
100% because we own him in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Matthew Stafford, we faced him once and he did beat us. Right? So every time we face Aaron Rodgers, it's a W.
If we got a true starter, but if we have a backup quarterback going in, then Aaron Rodgers really does embarrass us. There's been multiple games where we went to try to play against him, and it's ugly. But if we have Kaepernick went in there, defeated him. We had a couple good games with Alex Smith. We had a couple good games there a couple times, but Jimmy Garoppolo got a game there, but Brock Purdy got a game there, but we had Troy Smith go in. We had what's his name? My favorite quarterback, Mr. Number 3. He kept standing up every time he got blasted. CJ Beathard. He took a death.
CJ Beathard was tough. Okay, he was tough.
He was tough. He was what the 49ers needed, but it wasn't what the 49ers wanted or deserved. We needed somebody a little bit better, but it's because we, like you touched on, we didn't have that offensive line that could stand there and block for him long enough. But CJ was he was a locker room favorite, and when we let him go, it fans and players, they don't understand. Like players, they have this locker room. They're like, these guys train with us. They're part of the team. But when they leave, players, fans are like, oh, we can upgrade at this position or something. Well, sometimes the players don't feel like that. And sometimes the players feel like they can win with each other. So when you do switch out, it's not always the best thing. It really, truly isn't.
Now, Kenny, that's another subject that we might just get into here shortly after we get done with the Aaron Rodgers thing. But at this point, it took Kyle 6 seasons to find Purdy, right? So say we jettison him, we trade him to the Cleveland Browns for Myles Garrett. All right, there it is. It's done.
But
we bring in Aaron Rodgers, right?
Wait, you got to go back
after he retires a couple years from now. Where are we at?
I don't like the narrative it took so long to find Purdy because they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo and they got it done. Again, with a confident quarterback, Kyle Shanahan's proven that he can get things done. If it wasn't for the 49ers fans being so vocal, we would have traded for Kirk Cousins a long time ago. If it wasn't for the 49ers fans being so vocal, we would have had Sam Darnold at the start of his NFL career. If it wasn't so vocal, or not the start of his career, but we would have traded for him when Robert Saleh became the head coach for the Jets. If it wasn't so vocal, the 49ers would have got, the guy from BYU, Zach Wilson, who now is rumored to come to the 49ers. So it's like, this is it's a small world, David, because all these quarterbacks that, our coach, Kyle Shanahan, wanted are still speculated or somehow rumored or linked to coming to him somehow. So everybody thought, Mr. Sam Darnold singing Ghost, but he started playing way better when Kyle got him. And again, it goes back to what you said. If the offensive line would have been a little bit better for it to be a pocket passing, line, then maybe Sam Darnold would have had more time in the pocket to be able to throw those passes, because when he had time against us this year, he sure was able to throw it deep and beat us. It was that one pass in the game that beat us. So, David, you said Myles Garrett. Let's move to Myles Garrett. How do you feel?
So I feel like, there's a lot of people that do want Myles Garrett. And in my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen because of the helmet at Mason Rudolph thing. The 49ers look at things. They picked that one guy in the draft. What was his name? Reuben Foster, right? He had character issues. They ended up letting him go really early.
Yep.
And anyone that has character issues doesn't come back. And I'm not saying Myles Garrett, he's probably more than over that,
Oh, you're referring to that moment where he smacked Rudolph, a quarterback from the Steelers?
He didn't actually hit him, did he? He swung
Oh,
it.
oh, geez. So are you saying that incident, the Niners can't look over their shoulder and say, "Yeah, that's too much"? I mean, we did have that one guy who took the crap on the desk, right? Was that the real reason Charles Haley was it? It was Charles Haley, right? Is that the real reason we let him go to Dallas? I mean, like,
Hey, that was before the Yorks. That was before that was Ed DeBartolo, and he knew that you have to have a mean guy here and there on the defense. He knew that.
he used to
But we got nice guys on defense.
he
It's
used to
kind of
come.
well, I'm kind of the feeling we do need a mean guy. Just
So we
one.
So okay, here then, if we don't want Garrett, because I think Miles Garrett would be a game changer or would totally put us over the top for the Super Bowl. If we can't get him, do we go after the Raiders court defensive tackle Max Crosby? I mean, like, I really don't care if the guy's smoking in the locker room as long as we're getting W's. Smoke it up. I don't care.
David Corona, what's cracking, buddy? Got Jason, the captain, in the chat. Of course, I'm sure you saw Kenny's here. What was he talking about? Luckily, not paralyzed or dead, but well, it's just one of those things. The Niners don't do guys that even have a clue of character issues, though. We won't, and that's the reason why I don't think that the Niners will actually bring him in. If it happens, I'll eat my words. All right, I will eat my words.
Yeah, the Niners have a thing about, like, if you get a DUI, they usually release you. Antonio Bryant, long time ago, he took over number 81 after Rashad Woodson, after T.O. left the team. He actually was a pretty good wide receiver for us that season. And yeah, he had DUI the following offseason, and the Niners didn't bring him back. It's happened with a lot of players. Just one of those things. We had a fullback, got into an altercation off season, and it was during the Harbaugh season, era. And yeah, we just didn't bring him back. Chip Kelly era, just one of those things. Niners try to keep clean players and try to keep their name out of the newspapers. And if you can't,
the Niners do go after high character players. That's why I'm like in this last mock draft. If you haven't watched it, folks, please go back and watch it. It was an interesting one. We did trade for Myles Garrett, although I think it's probably going to take more than what we traded. We traded Debo in the 11th overall, right?
Yeah, because he's not really valued very highly, is he?
Debo is not at this point, and they gave him permission to request to find a trade partner. We haven't heard anything back on that, have we? I'm listening. That's right. I haven't heard anything. So, and that's the case where the Niners are probably going to have to cut him post June 1st. And it's like this. I don't want an employee that doesn't want to be there.
Well, David, do you remember when he came out publicly and said he doesn't run the route when he knows the ball's not coming his way?
I remember him saying that, and it's like I remember going, what? Like, man, you run the route, because number one, well, if that guy's covered, you're one of the reads, right? You run the route. And then last year, last year he didn't have a good year. It seems like every other year he has a really good year. So maybe he's due this upcoming season, maybe, right?
Sure.
But
he's like 20 pounds overweight right now, but yeah, maybe that's what he needs to do is pile it on.
Well, at this point, it's like, remember he said, I'm not getting enough opportunities, and the Niners just fed him the ball, and we lost that game. We didn't score enough points. It didn't work out.
Well, when we force feed him the ball, he doesn't produce. He's not the best wide receiver. He's a wide back. And what that is this, I guess, a glorified running back, because it means you're not somebody who can truly catch the ball every time if you're contested. But look out, if you do have the ball, you know, you can line up as a wide receiver or you can line up as a running back. He made a new position on the football field, and then he kind of gave up on it. He gave on it. He gave up like what 3 seasons ago when he asked for his new contract, and his mom and him were on the, you know, the video, and she was like, "Oh no," and he was talking about like, you know, so and so just got a contract, and so you get your contract, and then we do get to the Super Bowl, and you drop the passes every time we throw the ball to you. And we did. We targeted him more than everybody else because I guess Kittle was injured, and you know, I mean, CMC did fumble in the beginning of the Super Bowl. So I don't know what else to do.
He had 0 receptions that day. McDuffie and Snead were just all over him. He couldn't get separation.
So, you know, we always joke. We say Debo has T-Rex arms and Ayuk has aerodactyl arms, but now, you know, you look at Mr. Ayuk, and he's hurt, and he's not supposed to come back until like next year in the middle of the season, or even the following year. So it kind of makes me feel like we need to get 2 more wide receivers, and the 49ers kind of know it.
Dang, 11 targets. But Crazy Juice is in the building. Now this is another option, Brian. You know, we're talking about Debo. Now the guy has already scrubbed us from his social media for what, the second time? You know, he's already done all that. It's like we've seen this act before, but you didn't have an all-pro season this year.
No.
So you're not going to get that contract extension that maybe you're thinking the Niners will give you. You know, this ain't going to work this year.
I don't know what team wants to take him. I really don't know what team would take him. Yeah, and I mean, if you were Debo, would you want to go to the Cowboys?
It probably just to try to get to us, but then when he plays us, you know, we just put Diamador Lenore on him. He's not going to be able to do anything.
I don't see too many teams taking a risk on him. You know, like what he thought he was going to go to the Dolphins because of McDaniels or something like that. You know, like I don't know, just because you can beat up the defense doesn't mean you can beat up other defenses. The Dolphins don't have a bunch of tall dudes on defense, right?
They don't. Uh-oh. No. It's high school chick just unsubscribed. That's how you. Oh. but so someone brought someone else up, and this is another thing. Steve-O, I don't know where Steve-O is at. I haven't seen him in a couple shows. Where is it? There it is. Crazy Juice. Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. So this man wants a contract extension. So this is not only going to cost us a pick to get him, we're going to have to pay money. And, you know, how many big contracts can you hold, right? So, but this guy is very productive. He was by far the best player on the defense of the Bengals, period. You know, without him, they probably would have lost even more games. You know, that's another option. And it's the offseason. You never know what the Niners are going to do. It's like when they went out and signed Hargrave. Did any of us see that coming? You know? And, hey, speaking of the devil, remember how we said we'd talk about this guy? So, honestly, out of all the players that are available when it comes to the edges, and I'm not necessarily on the get another edge train, because I honestly like our top 3 edges. I think we could add some depth behind them. I like Bosa. I like Leonard Floyd. I like Gross Matos. Gross Matos played half a season and got 4 or 5 sacks. I think 4.5. So what could he do in a full season, right? Leonard Floyd had 8.5 sacks last year, although a lot of people were saying he wasn't doing much. But you put him out there as a situational pass rusher, he's going to get 8 to 10 sacks, you know. And then you got Nick Bosa on the other side. But you put a guy on the inside by Nick Bosa, you know, Malik Collins is a good pass rusher, although his run defense isn't that great. I like Malik Collins, though. Honestly, the two interior guys I like are Malik Collins and Evan Anderson. And Evan Anderson, because, number one, he didn't even make the 53. We promoted him from the practice squad. He worked his way up to get him playing time in his first season, right? Undrafted free agent. So he has a lot of upside. You know, he could ascend and become way better. So I like Evan Anderson for that reason. And he's short and thick. You know, he's like the immovable object. So I like him. I like Malik Collins because of his pass rushing skills, not necessarily his run defense. Jordan Elliott, he's an okay depth piece, but I think we could do better. Kalia Davis, a lot of people before his injury in college had him being picked in the first, second round, but he hasn't lived up to that. You know, those are the four guys. I believe we have some practice squad guys under contract, but those are the four guys I'm looking at that we currently have. I'm honestly thinking like Jeffrey Simmons from the Tennessee Titans, and they are looking to rebuild at this point. You know, there's a guy up with the Patriots, and I'm gonna look up this. There's a guy with the Patriots whose name doesn't get thrown around a lot because not many people know him, right? Is it Madubuk?
I'm horrible.
There it is. Christian Barmore. Christian Barmore. That's the guy from the Patriots. And I mean, PFF actually gave him an 84.9 pass rush grade last year. I honestly believe that's what we need. Look at what the Eagles did with an interior pass rush. Look at what they did. You know, and that's something we don't have. We don't have all our pass rushes edges from the outside. You know, our interior guy, Malik Collins, yeah, he got a little bit of pass rush here and there. But, you know, I honestly think he's more of a situational player, and he played too much. You know, you throw a guy like Jeffrey Simmons or, you know, Christian Barmore, you throw those guys up in there, one of the two, all of a sudden you have a legitimate pass rush threat on the interior next to Bosa. What are you guys going to do? You know, you going to double him, double Bosa. That's four guys. You still have to account for two defensive linemen, right? You feel me? So the interior pass rush is what I'm 100% want to see. And in the second mock draft, Brian, I don't know if you had the chance to watch that show yet. If you haven't, you can fast forward to the second draft. We did a lot of trades, a lot of moves, trade backs. We got more picks. I traded players away. I actually traded Jake Moody away. I was going, I hope Bryant ain't watching.
Yeah, with that Jake Moody thing, they definitely need to bring in a veteran, or they need to bring in competition, because we've seen, you know, other kickers have success. But if, you know, you move off of a player too soon to, you know, show, you know, other players in the franchise that you don't believe in them if they're struggling. Jake Moody did have an injury earlier in the season. I think they rushed him back a little too soon. And, you know, it's one of those things when you have a kicker that, you know, also gets hurt, because Jake Moody was hurt. Then they got another kicker. He got hurt. Then they got another kicker. He got hurt. It was just one of those. It was really weird. So, yeah, if they move off of Moody, hey, it is what it is. But I think they should give him another chance. So right now we're going to try to move off of the Aaron Rodgers, the Myles Garrett. We do both agree that we should try to get some kind of help for Mr. Bosa. There's also been some speculation and some reports out, you know, and I said it last year as well, Let's get Little Bear and Big Bear together, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's get both the Bosas together. So if the Chargers release, we got what, Nick Bosa, they released Joey Bosa. David, would you sign Joey Bosa? And I think that's my last question for you tonight.
I 100% would, because number one, we wouldn't have to give up multiple early picks in the draft to acquire him.
Love it.
And number two, we have these other guys, Leonard Floyd and Geeter Gross Matos. He's not going to be asked to be out there all the time. He's going to be, you're only going to play so many snaps with us, but we're still going to be using you type of thing, right?
I love it.
So 100%. If they release him, then that's an option we could do. Sign him to 1-2 year contract, and we would have both Bosas in the building. That would make our edges from pretty good to legitimate, and then maybe in the draft we can address that defensive tackle spot at the 11. Maybe we could get a Nolan if he's available. Maybe even the other guy, Grant. I think it's Mason Graham from Michigan. Maybe he even falls, because we don't know what's going to happen in the draft until the players start going, right?
Yep.
We don't know. So it's one of those. Either way, I definitely want to see additions to the interior of that defensive line. I definitely want to see that, just because of what the Eagles did with those guys, and one of those guys is actually a free agent. But what happened last time we signed an Eagles free agent? I didn't exactly. At this point, they're saying he's a post-June 1st cut, but we have to wait to see that happen. It's not real until it happens. That's how I'm saying. Right now, it's just reports.
Yeah. I'd do it. I like Joey Bosa. I like Max Crosby. I like Myles Garrett. I know we have a fourth place schedule. The Niners have to do something to make us a legitimate threat in the playoffs. We're going to be losing, or we'll be without two of our wide receivers. I noticed somebody threw out there too, Mostert, try to bring back Mostert. But David, when your wife and you both are leaving the Bay Area or leaving a certain football team because they've made death threats against your family, would you come back to that organization or franchise? I don't think I would. So the Mostert thing's not coming to happen. It is funny with the Aaron Rodgers. You guys call me crazy all you want, but why wouldn't you want to come back to the team that you should start your franchise with, the team that should have drafted you to begin with? And why not come back and retire? Honestly, if Kyle and Aaron Rodgers can make it work, I could see him winning two, 3 Super Bowls. 3 pushing it, but 2 at least. I could see him winning back-to-back Super Bowls. With this roster and this season coming up ahead, really.
I honestly think, when it comes to the Myles Garrett trade, I'm of the opinion that it's not the only move we need to make. We need to get a legitimate center that would definitely help our offensive line, a guy that can take someone on one-on-one and slide over to the right when it's overloaded and Pooney's taking on 2 guys, McKivitz is taking on 1, and there's still free rushers coming. This is what I saw out of Brindell last year. I saw him putting one arm on the guy Aaron Banks more than has handled while the rush is coming from the other side. It's like, man, you can do better.
And honestly, that's another point towards Aaron Rodgers, because he's going to want a center that's going to be legitimate, somebody that he's going to feel comfortable with and not feel like, hey, I'm going to get hurt behind this offensive line. So not only are we asking for Aaron Rodgers, we're going to ask for Aaron Rodgers and his company, or who he approves to play with the 49ers. It would be a complete offensive line overhaul, because Aaron Rodgers is going to have his seal of approval. If the Niners could deal with that. But no, we're going to try to take the cheap route, and we're going to sign Brock Purdy because he's what, shake and bake man, Mr. Make It Happen. You have Mr. Fix It Flat. You know, you got the air, the spare, and Mr. Fix It Flat, right? And that's who Brock Purdy is, right? He's the guy that's getting it done with the least amount of money, and we're going to try to get the most out of him. Sure, he deserves a big contract, but David, how many times are you going to try to pump up an inner tube if the inner tube keeps leaking out the elbow?
Well, and my point is, if you protect him so he's not getting hit, he's not going to get hurt.
Yep, that's
and this goes back to James Richard Garoppolo, Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard. I mean, all these guys, Trey Lance, all of them got hurt. And the Trey Lance was kind of a freak injury because he was running the ball. I don't think that was the offensive line's fault. But a lot of these guys got hurt because we had a poor offensive line. So Kyle Shanahan needs to look in the mirror, and think, what do I need to do moving forward? You need to get an O-line to protect the quarterback you're about to pay.
And I agree.
Buy him an extra half a second to get the ball out. By the players that you put around him, an extra half a second to get their routes done.
I agree, but I don't think they will value Brock Purdy enough to put an offensive lineman around him. But if we went after somebody like Aaron Rodgers, he would have the confidence to speak up enough and be loud enough to say, I want these players around me, so I am going to be safe. And I think with the Niners going the Brock Purdy route, we are going to settle on the offensive line.
And that's kind of a thing. If Brindle's our starting center this next season, I might just get a gang together and go to the 49ers headquarters with pitchforks and torches and signs, and let's do a protest.
I will be there with you.
Kenny, this is actually correct. Brock Purdy was the first rookie to beat Tom Brady. He was.
But what does that mean? That's just a funny stat, right? That's just a funny stat. Something to, say, hey, cool, Brock Purdy, Tom Brady. Tom Brady wanted to be a 49er. The first 49er rookie quarterback to start a game against him beat him. Oh, wow. Fun fact, right? But what does that do for me now? Did that get me a Super Bowl? No, that's just got me 2 years of Brock Purdy having an injured elbow. Rodgers should go to Vegas, sure, but there's already a pyramid there. Yeah, but what's that mean about, if we was to get Aaron Rodgers, the chances of us going to the Super Bowl and winning it, Aaron Rodgers can still throw the ball 70 yards, David. Brock Purdy can't. Aaron Rodgers can still really, really scare defenses. Brock Purdy doesn't. You pay Brock Purdy $60 million. Does that scare a defense? No.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Last year's a prime example. He actually ran the ball 63 times. The year before, I believe it was 39. So he literally took off 24 more times over the course of the games. And that's just because of how bad the protection was. And Terradome brings up an actual fact stat. Brindle was ranked 39 out of 32 centers in the NFL and pass pro. 39th, which puts 6 backups ahead of him.
I know there's no Brock Purdy hate here. I'm just saying, what are we going to do if we're looking at the 49ers as a business decision? It's not about what you did for me last year. It's about what you're going to do for me in the future, right? So, yeah, you helped me get, through the busy season last year, but we have a busy season coming ahead of us. And if you can't give me what you give me last year and you give me less than what you'd give me the year before, what are we talking about? Brock Purdy didn't do better last year. He did better the year before. And are you really expecting him to do better this year without Ayuk, without Debo? I mean, I don't know who you're signing as your wide receivers. And if you sign somebody who's a true deep wide receiver, David, are you really, really confident that Mr. Purdy is going to be able to throw him the route?
Now, he can pass around 40 to 45 yards down the field.
Yeah.
which is way more than James. Way
Way
more
more.
than James.
Yep.
But at this point, we do have a guy, Ricky Purcell, who the last 3 games he really started to make his stride. What do we have in Jacob Cowing? We don't know, but there's a deep threat right there, right? There's a deep threat.
Teradum's taking shots. He said, "I know how you'd feel if we had a kicker. We would maybe have won a Super Bowl." But see that extra point didn't cost us the Super Bowl, because even if they would have made the extra point, the Chiefs would have went down and scored. So it didn't cost us that. What cost us the Super Bowl was our Super Bowl head coach didn't know the rules, and we went for a field goal instead of trying to go for a touchdown. And we took the ball first instead of saying we'll decline and take it second. He come up with this bogus statement saying, "Oh, well, we would have got it the third time." But how do you get it the third time, David, if you kick a field goal and they score a touchdown? They win point blank. So yeah,
exactly.
We might need a new kicker, and Moody might be the name or the feeling of this this right now. But no, we'll see how it goes. Moody was just hey, we all thought Michigan was the way to go, right? When Harbaugh left us, he went to Michigan, so we thought, okay, we can go back, right? But maybe we need somebody better. But again, like I said earlier, Moody did get hurt in the beginning of the season. We rushed him back. Let's see what he does with the competition in mini camp and training camp. Let's see what happens. Maybe we need an extra preseason game to see how they can kicker battle, right? We'll see what happens. But David, I know you were wanting to get out of here. So is there any other topics that you wanted to talk about? Because
we gotta say hi to Beto, and folks, please hit the like button for me. Again, I'm at 194 subscribers. I'm stuck here at 194. I'm trying to get to 200. So, tell a friend. Tell a friend that we can be friends.
Brock Purdy is the future of the 49ers. Well, I hope that means the future is bright, because if he can't throw over 45 yards, David, I don't know if that's good.
Remember, Bryant, I'm saying if we put an O-line to protect him, and again, he's only in his 3rd season. He just finished his 3rd year. So he's not at the point where he can carry the team yet. But those guys don't typically – Tom Brady didn't hit that point until he was, 5th or 6th season? Josh Allen didn't hit that point until he's in his 5th, 6th season.
So I get it. We put an O-line around Brock Purdy, right? It'll make him be able to throw 46 yards, right? And then he could throw the ball.
It'll give it time for the play to develop.
And then that's what I'm saying. Then that guy can throw it back to another player who can try to do a gimmick play, right, and run it up, instead of having somebody who hasn't had multiple elbow injuries. I'm just saying, guys, before we spend $60-something million on this guy, is he truly the guy that you guys want to run out there and buy a jersey for? Although, he did have a pretty high jersey sale his first year as a starter. So what do I know? I don't know. I mean, I just know the guy's got several elbow injuries, and we don't have a Super Bowl. So
that's true. That's true.
But I'm a hater, dude. I'm a Brock Purdy hater. I guess they said it today. I'm trying to think of the best thing for the 49ers. I'm sorry. If we're going to spend money, we should put it in the best place, right? So I don't know. I'm gonna stand tall, and I'm gonna stand by what I said. I think we need to go get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, did he win the Super Bowl though, Beto, or was it the defense? Yeah, we'll go back.
Their defense had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and was it Saquon Barkley or was it Jalen Hurts? Let's go back and think about that too. So, yeah. I think it was Big Dom, coach. Big Dom. Right? He was the one who was the Eagles' deciding factor. One of those things. It's
oh boy,
you never know what's going to happen.
And yes, Terradome. The name is Brock Purdy. He is the franchise holder for most yardage in a season.
But was it Brock Purdy or was it Kyle Shanahan? because we've already developed. We already said that. How many quarterbacks has Kyle Shanahan got to the Super Bowl? Head coach, offensive coordinator. I mean, I think. I mean, at this point, Kyle Shanahan's scheme, his system has proven to work at least 3 times now with 3 different players. So,
Dude, there's rumors that teams are that someone's looking to trade for Trevor Lawrence. There's rumors that, well, Deshaun Watson, he's not going to be available next year because he tore, I think, the same Achilles that he tore the year 1 or 2 years before. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan, so it's not a me problem, right? But, it's like when it comes to a QB, a good QB is hard to find. I'll say that right now. But, and there are a bunch of folks that would rather, I would rather have a 6'4", 230-pound quarterback that can throw 75 yards. Okay, that's nice. There's not that many guys that are really good in the league that are like that. There's not. Yeah, you got Joe Burrow. You got, Josh Allen. You can throw Patrick Mahomes in there, although the last 2 seasons he hasn't been that good.
I will not have you talk about Ryan Leaf like this at all. And if you know, you know. Ryan Leaf was supposed to be amazing. He just didn't get the chance. He just didn't get his chance. So, guys, hey, thank you all for coming. We enjoy it. We'll be back next time. Go 49ers. What's best for the franchise. And, as always, David, thank you for having me. And hopefully we'll be back on the next Coast to Coast. David and me both have to go. So you all hit the like button. And David, send us out like Corey Davis would.
Hey, as Corey Davis says, it's Go Niners and F all 31 other teams. Don't forget to like and subscribe, folks. I'm getting so close to 200. I can taste it, but it's not never going to happen. Just one of those